You're not trapped, you know the way out. But that space between where you are and where you want to be is terrifying. And that's the whole problem.
Failure is like everything else in life, it's just between.
Never fail.
I need to know to get to where I want to go.
In today's episode, we're going to jump in and we're going to have a look at what the gap actually feels like, why most people revert back to comfort, the types of fear, and how to take the first step without having the whole plan. Just before we get into today's episode, I really want to thank each and every one of you Feckers. Did we ever establish that we were going to call ourselves Feckers? Maybe you missed that episode. Go back and check. But let's say it's Feckers. And you Feckers are back supporting this channel, ready to share your stories about that moment where you realised, feck it, things must change. And you've come on and you've shared your story. Or you've listened, you've supported the channel, you've hit the like button, you've hit follow, you've shared it with people who'll get value from the content. I want to take a moment and really thank you. These are the reasons we do it, to help make a difference to people's lives, and we can't do it without your support. With that said, let's get into today's episode. So what does that gap feel like when you're actually standing there? You feel like you're stuck. You feel like things can't change. You know things must change. You know that you want to make a difference. You want to improve your life. You want to get to a better place. However, you feel stuck. What does that gap actually feel like? Look, for me and the people I work with on a regular basis, there's a common theme that I have seen over the years. And it's that uncertainty. It's not knowing what comes next. What if I try it and it's actually worse than where I am now? So I suppose it's that fear of that unknown can be what that gap looks like. Or that uncertainty of what if I try this and it doesn't work out. For some people, however, it is that belief or lack of it that could be holding them back. That story that they've said, I'm only ever capable of doing this. I'm not smart enough to do something different. This is all I know. So it could be an old story that you're telling yourself, a negative story that's keeping you where you are. What else could it potentially be? I have seen people and I have worked with people who just have that habit, who don't like change, who are uncomfortable with new things. So the thought of maybe going and getting a new job scares them. The thought of getting out of a toxic relationship with a partner scares them. Maybe they've been told for a long time, you'll never make it on your own. You're not good enough. So again, it's them negative stories in our head. The other gap that it may be is that we just don't have the skills or the resources to get us out of the situation. Maybe we have been really unfortunate in life and we have been born into an environment that we just cannot do anything about. Life has dealt us a shit hand. And we just are where we are. We can't change it. I've had people tell me, Glenn, this is just what my life is. It'll never change. It'll never get better. This is the way it's always been. So again, that for me is a story that's holding them back. Now, we cannot control where we're born into. What's the difference between me that's born into a loving family with a problem with alcohol in it versus somebody that's born into a war zone where there's killing and fighting versus somebody that's born into a very wealthy, loving family with very little issues? Call it luck, call it fate. I don't have the answer. But what I do know is there comes a point in everybody's life where they are somewhere and they can make conscious decisions to change and create new environments for themselves. How do I know that? Because I had to make some of them tough decisions. Because I work with people that make those tough decisions on a regular basis. So whenever you're there and you feel stuck, you feel trapped, you feel there's no way out. If you're listening to that right now, whatever reason has led you to where you are, it's important for you to know, scrap that. Even more importantly, it's important for you to believe that things can change. Because the belief is the thing that comes first. Once you believe that things can change, once you know that you're capable of doing something more with your life than what you've been given or the situation where you currently are in, regardless of how you got there, whether it's your own foolish decisions or whether it's just a cruel hand that fate had give you. Once you realize that I'm there and I believe things can get better, that's the first step. It opens up the mind to going, okay, I believe things can get better. What do I now need to do to make things better? Most people at that point then thinks two things. They think this is going to be super easy. I just have to do these couple of steps. I have to do what Glenn says. I have to come up with a plan. I have to figure out what I need to know, what resources I need to go, and I just go and do it. And then people may get lucky. However, the reality is we will try something and it may not work the first time, but it'll move us forward from where we were. We'll adjust, we'll amend, we'll try something new, we'll learn from our failures, and then that'll bring us a little bit closer as well to get us to where we want to go. We'll connect with the right people, we'll have the right discussions, we'll have the right conversations, and that gets us another little bit closer. So it's not just a straightforward, easy line of here I am, that's where I want to go, and now I just close the gap. It can be for some people, and my hope for you is that it is that for you. However, reality is there'll be hard times, there'll be difficult times, there'll be challenging times. And a lot of people hit them and they just revert back to where they were before. You look at any cases of people in domestic violence, you look at any cases of people that are putting up with an abusive relationship. You look at many cases where people have grown up in a lifestyle that they have the opportunity of getting out of, but yet they stay there. People stay with what they know because it's comfortable. It doesn't take them outside the comfort zone. I didn't say that it was easy. I didn't say that it was nice. I didn't say that it was an easy thing to do. Somebody that's living with an abusive partner, or somebody that is dealing with somebody with alcoholism or drug abuse or any of them situations, it's not easy to stay there and continue to put up with that, or continue to live with that, or continue to go through it. Yet they choose to because it's comfortable. It's comfortable because it doesn't have to change. Because let's face it, it's not easy to make the changes. It's not easy to try and break away from that negative situation or that situation where you don't want to be in life. It's not easy to walk away from somebody who you truly love with all your heart and soul, yet you know that it's tearing you up inside and it's affecting you and your family. That is not an easy choice for anybody to make. That can be a harder choice than staying. However, most people stay there because it's comfortable. It's what they know. They don't have to go into that unknown. What if? So as I say, there's two types of fear. There's the fear of, what if I try this and it doesn't work out? But there's also the fear of, what if I stay here and things don't change? Now, let's break them down. If I stay here and things don't change, then I know for sure I'm stuck in the exact same place forever, regardless of what that situation is. And usually it's a negative situation. However, the fear of, what if this doesn't work out? Let's look at that one. Let's say I try this. I leave this abusive partner. And regardless of what I believe in my head, I have faith and I have belief that things will be better whenever I walk away. Yet it's a struggle. That fear of, what if I don't have enough money to survive? What if they find me? What if they come after me? But what if they don't? What if you do make a life of your own? What if you do find a way of getting the resources that you need, leaning on the organizations, the people that will support people in all of them situations? What if you get that and your life becomes so much better? So the fear of, what if I take action and it doesn't work out, for me, that's an easier one to deal with. Because if it doesn't work out this time, I learn from it, I change a few things and I do it again. But it gets me further away from where I currently am. The fear of staying where I am, that's going to eat me up inside. That's going to ruin my life in the long run because of what I'm dealing with, what I'm living with, the emotions that I'm going through on a regular basis, the risk I put myself and my family at. Now, that applies whether it's relationships and abusive relationships or alcoholism, drug abuse or anything like that. But it can apply to so many other things as well. Maybe it's a job you don't like. Maybe you have an addiction problem. maybe it's gambling, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drug abuse. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if I change? What if I give this up and people see me for who I am? And that fear of improving your life and giving yourself something that you've never thought possible. That's scary for people going through that at that stage. And again, staying where you are in that comfort zone is easier. But I would ask yourself, which fear do I want to have in my life? The one that gives me the potential to improve my life, or the one that gives me no opportunity to improve my life and just continue doing what I'm doing? So please hear me whenever I say you don't have to have the whole plan right now. You have to know I'm currently here in this Feck it no more moment. I know that I want to get there, which is usually a happier, more content life. Whether it's finances, whether it's work, whether it's relationships, regardless, it's usually because it's improving my life. That gap in the middle, as I said, you don't have to know all of the steps in that gap. You just have to know the first one. Talk to somebody, reach out to somebody, research, learn how to get you closer to where you want to go. That's the first step. If this episode has hit home, follow Feck It No More podcast on wherever you usually listen. Consider sharing it with somebody who may get something from this episode. And thanks for tuning in. Till the next time. And now for the legal part. I'm not a registered mental health professional. I'm just some guy who has gone through life, that's dealt with a lot of issues, and that has really wanted to move his life from where it was to where he wanted to go. And along that journey, with my own personal development, with my own growth, I've done a lot of research and studying into what it takes to get us to a better place, what it took to get me to a better place. I've also done a certificate in results coaching that qualifies me to coach other people in terms of improving their lives. But I want to stress, regardless of whether you go to a mental health professional or whether you go and talk to a friend down the road or whether you reach out to the Feck It No More team, the onus is definitely on you to help improve your life. And I want to thank you for showing up today, for listening, for getting involved. That shows that you care about your growth and your development and getting you to a better place. And I really appreciate the time that you have taken to reach out. So until the next time, I'll be waiting. I'll be available to help, support, as I know majority of our community will be too. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for you showing up.